Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and we're proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you're a growing business and want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. We're also sponsored by VNB Auto Centres. If you're looking for your MOT getting done, 30 quid at Handsworth, already dirt cheap. But if you tell them you're a Rambler, you'll get 50% off. Brilliant. Thank you to Aaron and the team for the support. We're also sponsored by Triple Point, as this is the warm-up, our match preview, getting ready for Cardiff. And I can't believe how fast this month is going by. Obviously, there's lots of news, lots of Sheffield United-related news. You cast your eye over the city, they might be losing their main boy as well. So that's something else for us to smile about coming up to Christmas. But we're not slowing down. There's no slowing down on the Ramble, whether I want to or not, because I have a feeling there's going to be some news to talk about, some very big news to talk about very soon, which we all know is the takeover. Whichever way it goes, if it falls through, there'll be big things to talk about. But we'll next be back with 90 after 90. I've also done a Leeds video today in terms of Sheffield United and Leeds on Behind the Ramble, which looks at why I think Leeds' stronger squad, I think we've got just as good a first team, if not better, but Leeds' squad may hinder them in the loan market in January. So give that a watch on Behind the Ramble. If you're not already supporting us over there, please do give us a like and a subscribe. It's very much appreciated. If you're not subscribed here, where have you been? Where have you been? So we've got that. That's out now on Behind the Ramble. We've also 90 after 90 for Cardiff after this warm-up. So that's the next time you'll see me on the main channel, unless anything breaks. That's the plan anyway. You may well see me between times. And then on Sunday, I've sort of gone a little bit different this time with our plan for Jan. So obviously I've done my squad review. Anybody that's not seen that, please do check that out. This is where we do a plan for January. We assess our squad. Where do we need to strengthen? So that video's out already. You can catch that Ramble anyway if you look back over the channel. But on Sunday, on this Sunday coming, it's a live 3 Mardy Blades special looking at who should we sign. Who should United sign in the January window? Because there's so many videos, so many things to cover at the moment, and we're back-to-back with games, there's no point spreading it out over 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. We're just going to do it in one. Myself, Dave, Man Mountain, we're all going to pick a player each for each position that we've identified, and I won't spoil that for those that haven't seen the squad review yet. So, yeah, loads to come. Loads to come. Keep it Ramble over your festive period. We will be here to get you through and keep you up to date on all your Sheffield United news. So, thank you again for joining me tonight. This is the warm-up for Cardiff. And I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Cardiff currently. I know that their run of form isn't great. I know they had a little bit of a bounce when Omar Rizza first came in, and it seems to have tapered off a little bit. So we needed to find out a little bit more. So I've asked one of our friends to give us a rundown. And here he is, Si.
Hey guys, I'm Si from Cardiff City World and Ace Podcast Nation. Thank you so much for the invite to talk about the game this weekend. It's obviously a concern because we're very up and down. You know, one game can be decent, the next game we look horrific. It's problematic, but we are playing way under what we're capable of. We've got a decent squad, even if we're a bit light with the attacking options. So I think, yes, it's a concern, but long term, I'm fairly confident we'll be okay. Omar Reese's an interesting one because he started well, got the team playing straight away. We looked a lot more creative. We pressed high. That has dropped a little bit in recent weeks. It's a tricky one because he's learning on the job and he hasn't got any experienced coaches or staff with him. So he's very much learning as he goes. It's a massive opportunity for him. I think he can be the guy, but I also believe that in order for him to be the guy, he needs experienced staff or coaches, or at least some really tactically astute coaches to help him as he learns on the job and bounce ideas off. So the jury's definitely out, but one thing he's done is he's got the players playing for him. In this pre-season, we drilled a 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1 a lot, and then the first game of the season came and we just dropped it and we went back to the 4-2-3-1. I've been quite a big voice saying that we should play the 3 at the back. The whole squad is built, I think, better for a 3-4-3 or a 3-4-2-1 particularly. We played that in the last game and we looked way better, more balanced, we created more, we looked defensively solid. It's a very flexible system, obviously. I hope and I think we'll stick with that system. Our best player by a country mile is Alex Robertson, 21-year-old midfielder, signed from Manchester City in the summer. I don't expect him to be at Cardiff City very long. Technically excellent, aggressive, very good on the ball, always looks to progress the play through the lines. He's very clever. Usually if Cardiff are going to play well, he would have to have a good game, and then equally Ruben Colwell is obviously a big danger in that number 10 position. But Chris Willock as well, keep an eye on him. He had a good game the other day, hasn't had a great deal of opportunities. I would love to know the exact stat, but a lot of goals that we've conceded this year have come from, one, they come from mistakes, but two, a lot of them have come in that right back area. That has changed slightly with the change of system in the last game to 3 at the back. We obviously didn't have an out-and-out right back, and Perry NG wasn't in the squad. Unfortunately, Perry's made a lot of mistakes this season, been responsible for a lot of goals, been caught out of position, giving the ball away, losing his man. It's definitely, that's the area where I would say, particularly if we play 4 at the back, that's definitely the area where we can be got at. The game will be interesting. You guys don't score loads and loads of goals, and we just don't know which Cardiff City is going to turn up. And we're very comfortable in possession. We'll keep the possession all day. Our biggest issue has been that final third. Defensively, we're pretty solid at the moment, and it's getting better. We've got a good keeper. We've got a few good centre backs to play, but it's in that final third. We haven't got an out-and-out striker who's going to score goals. So I wonder whether it'll probably come down to how aggressive you guys are in the press and trying to win the ball. If you are aggressive, then I expect it to be quite a transitional game, lots of loss of possession and turnovers, which could be benefit to either side really. Sheffield United, I think, are generally a very strong side. I think you're going to go up comfortably this year.
Oh, friend!
You don't seem to score quite as many goals as maybe we'd expect, but once you get ahead, I think, particularly in this game, I think if you were to get an early goal, it could be problematic for Cardiff. But overall, I think if we can get at you, it's going to be in the spaces between defence and midfield. That's where we've got a few really clever, creative players, and I think maybe that's an area where we can get at you. Score prediction, yeah, I'm never going to go against Cardiff. I think it's going to be a real difficult game for us, but I do see signs that we're starting to galvanise a little bit. So I'm going to go with a 1-0 victory to Cardiff, but there's a lot of optimism there rather than anything else. Yeah, please do check us out, youtube.com/Cardiff City World, plus on all your podcast platforms. Social media, Twitter is at CCFC World. You can find me personally at Side1927, Ace Podcast Nation, everywhere else as well. I think Cardiff will finish around 12th, and I think Sheffield United will finish 2nd.
Lovely stuff. Not my words, Michael. The words of Shakin' Stevens.
Best of luck for the rest of the season, guys, and again, thank you very much for the invitation.
Nice one, Si. Thank you for that. I find these really interesting because, and they do take me a little bit of time to edit down and stuff, but it's worth it because I didn't know much about Cardiff, as I've said, prior to Si sending in that information. So what we've learned from that is Omar Rizza came in, did a decent job when he had the new manager bounce, was playing 4 at the back, and then form completely went off the cliff, went really downhill. And they've switched to a 3 at the back last game and gave Stoke a really strong showing, drawing 2-2 in the end. But he thinks they're much more comfortable with 3 at the back. I didn't know anything about Alex Robertson, who they've signed in the middle. Slap my hand, because, you know, if I was scouting, I'd be expected to know about that. But says he's by far their most creative player, and if he turns up, so do the team. So I find it really interesting to see what their perspective is. The other thing I think we should all recognise is everybody, it's formed a bit of a pattern now, because I'm asking similar questions, not always the same, but similar questions to all the opposition fans that we asked to come on and do a little bit of information about their team for us, where both sides will finish. I can't remember any fans not saying Sheffield United won't get automatic promotion. Maybe earlier on it might have been you'll definitely be a playoff team, but I think consistently it's been either second, just behind Leeds, or I think you'll win the league. And that mindset should give us confidence in how other teams are feeling when they're playing us. Because as a Blade, we're always thinking, oh, we could drop ball here. This could be the one where we drop a clanger and we don't turn up, and, you know, Cardiff turn us over when we're expected to go and certainly try for a draw. You never sort of expect to win on the opposition patch, or I certainly don't. You're hoping for a win, but we're quite fearful sometimes of just sort of losing the momentum. They are clearly thinking, oh my God, this team are going to get promoted. This team are one of the 2 best teams in the league. So it's always good to have that in mind in terms of how other teams feel about us. That's what I think anyway. So I'm going to get some comments in a minute, but I just want to, well, in fact, let's get to comments now, because I want to see how you're all feeling about the game coming up and stuff like that. So remember, we're only here for half an hour tonight. So it's the most difficult ramble I do this, because you know what I'm like once I get going. And trying to keep to a time limit is an absolute nightmare. So I may overrun very slightly. I'm on with Connor at 8 o'clock over on One Leeds as well. We're doing battle lines tonight because he's unavailable tomorrow. So you will still, you're not rid of me yet for tonight if you want a little bit more. Right, Jimmy Ladd says, Danny, hope Sousa's going to be back, as that midfield against Plymouth looked a lot weaker without him there. Need a striker and midfielder in January, and possibly a right back for competition. 2-0 Blades up the Ramble. There's a lot of that I don't agree with Dan, but you're more than entitled to your opinion. Any updates on the takeover? As it's taking longer than being on an NHS waiting list for the new hip. It's been a complete shambles. Even if it does go through, should be like a transfer window with limited time given to it, like 6 months max. It happens or it doesn't, and move on. Not fair on the fans, not fair on the players, and not fair on the managers. A bit like an exclusivity situation, but for a set time for it to get completed. Right, lots of stuff to get into there, Danny, and as I say, we're on a limited time frame. But you initially said that you hope Sousa's going to be back. I don't think Sousa will be back. I don't think he'll be back. I think we're hoping that both Sousa and Anel will be back for Burnley, is what I'm hearing. I'm discounting them from this game because I don't think they're going to be available. I don't think Tyrese Campbell will be available either, because I still think Wilder's trying to pull wool. And I understand it. He's a master tactician, and he likes playing mind games and what have you. But I don't think any of those 3 will be available personally. Updates on the takeover. We had a big, we had a hot topic yesterday, which is a platinum exclusive. It's a Ramblers exclusive, sorry, on our Patreon, and we had a huge talk about the takeover, where we are with it. To say it's a complete shambles is harsh. I mean, it's taken a very, very long time, but we don't know the details, do we? So we don't know whether it's a shambles or not. It could be. It could be, by all means. I think there's been some very smart tactics been going on here. I think the buyers now have a much better idea of what sort of club they're buying and whether they wanted to pursue it or not. We're nearly halfway through the season. So they now know that they're purchasing a potential promotion contender, or a favourite for promotion, if you like, at the price of a championship club. I think that's a really good deal for them. Prince has obviously gone back and negotiated the promotion bonus, which was already in the contract. It was just a tweaking of the figures, because we are now in a completely different place to when the deal was first negotiated. And there's some concerns because Danny Hall today has reported that there's a slight hiccup, a slight delay that shouldn't be seen as deal breaking in any sense. Danny's been all over this story, and he joined us the other night. So by all means, if we're not rambling, which we will be jumping straight on as and when news breaks one way or the other, but if you want to keep up to date all the time, Danny Hall has been spot on with the vast majority. Me and him have been, keeping in touch and exchanging notes, if you like, on what's happening. So Danny's been the one that I've seen that's had the most accurate reporting of this, and that's no slight on anybody else. Rob Staten wasn't far off the other night as well, saying it's almost all agreed. Radio Sheffield don't release stuff without it being close to happening. It's been a long time, Danny, but there's reasons it hasn't been communicated to fans and stuff like that. I'm still a huge... I think there's loads of room for improvement with how the club communicate with the fan base. Obviously, there's the FAB now in place, which will hopefully improve that over the long term. I know Bob and the rest of the FAB are really keen on liaising with the club, being the liaison between the club and the supporters, so that hopefully will get better in time. But stuff like takeovers, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So it's a little bit tricky. And also on the time-bound thing, I would rather, this is the new EFL. I think we're one of the first clubs to be subjected to the new, really stringent EFL rules. If we hadn't had those rules in place, we'd have been under Henry and Maurice 2.5 years ago, whenever it was, who then got done for wire fraud. Where would the club be then if there weren't, deep dive of checks going on into these owners or potential shady new owners? So we need to know that the people we get in are legit businessmen, which it's obviously all been done and approved and ratified now. So yes, we shall see. We shall see. Sam's saying, I understand people's frustration. We just need to be patient. Does Baki work for United World, and isn't he a friend of Prince Abdullah? So there's a story being released from a Turkish journalist, I believe, that Mr. Baki has gone over to Turkey to announce the takeover deal. I've no idea whether that's true or not. I know that Mr. Baki is still linked to the club. I know that for sure, but I certainly don't know whether it's true, whether he's over there doing an announcement or anything like that to do with things. David, thank you very much for the really generous super chat. Evening, Jimmy. Merry Christmas, Ramblers. Like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up, please. Up the blades, up the ramble. David, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to you as well. But as I say, you'll see a lot more of me before Christmas, but I really appreciate that. That's very generous. Thank you. Daz says the takeover is done. Probably took so long because of our assets. We own all that we've got. I think it's very, very close, Daz. I think it's very close. And if you look back on this in maybe a couple of days even, you might be right. Liam says, evening, pal. Hope and Nell and Vinny are back. Need a big performance and to stay 3 points clear at the top. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades, up the ramble. Please like and subscribe. Yeah, I think we certainly need to take something from Cardiff. If you look at it, Leeds have got Oxford at home. You know, it's a formality, isn't it, that they're going to win. I don't actually know who Burnley have got. Let's have a little look just to check and see what all of our round and about clubs have got, because Sunderland will have to check for as well, won't we? So on Saturday in the Championship, Burnley are at home to Watford. Tough fixture that, but they're at home. They hardly concede any, do they? But Watford just coming off a really good win against West Brom, sort of keeping them down a little bit. Obviously, we know that Leeds are at home to Oxford, which you imagine will be 3 easy points for them. And that's, again, I feel harsh on Oxford saying that, but they've just lost a manager. Leeds are going for 9 straight wins at home to match our record. So, yeah, that's going to be a tough one. And Sunderland entertain Norwich City. Oh, I think, tough opposition, but I think they will beat. So we have to get something at Cardiff. And not just because of that, but we've got such difficult fixtures coming up down the pipe, if you like. Who's to say where we're going to be come turn of the year even? Burnley at home, West Brom at home, 2 really tough fixtures after Christmas. And then going into the new year, Sunderland away. That's the one. That's the one that I think is going to be really, really tough. And then it's Watford away, isn't it? So really tough. But if you're gonna go up automatically, you've got to play everybody, ain't you? So no point. We can't duck and dive anybody. I just think it's such a tight schedule. That's the only thing. It's so tight. Anyway, so what team are we going for? What are we gonna put out with everybody that we know might be available, might not be available? Bit of Born to Be Wild.
Born to be wild.
So this is the part where we pick our team, the team that we would pick, not the predicted lineup. This is who I would like to pick, and you're happy to. I'm happy for you to comment on what you think, whether you agree with my lineup or not, whether you'd change it slightly. We've already had a comment saying if Anel and Sousa aren't fit, then it's the same 11. Well, that would mean Ryan Brewster up front. Oh, no, it wouldn't. It'd mean Ryan O'Neill up front, wouldn't it? It'd mean Ryan O'Neill starts. For me, this is my lineup. Michael Cooper in goal, best keeper in the Championship. Gilchrist and Burrows, fullbacks. Jack Robinson keeps his shirt alongside Harry Souttar. Davies and Peck, I like them individually. I don't think there was much chemistry there, and there's certainly not a lot of physical presence. It's yet to click, but fingers crossed that they can do their job. It does make me a little bit nervous, and I can't wait for Vinny to return. And I think that's a huge reason why we're looking at potentially getting a centre midfielder in January. So, but again, we'll talk about that on Sunday with the Mardy Blades lads. Gus Hamer, Callum O'Hare, and Raksaki, our usual three behind the striker. Gus Hamer, not a natural left winger, as we know, but making that position his own because he's such a good player, and that allows us to accommodate Callum O'Hare. Raksaki, I think, needs to up his game a little bit, but would it surprise anybody if he put in a really good performance at the weekend? Because it certainly wouldn't me. And I'm going with Kiefer Moore up front, a more proven, robust, well, I say robust because he has had a recent injury, but a more proven striker that will carry the load. The ball sticks a little bit better with Kiefer Moore up there, in my opinion. I thought Ryan O'Neill looked like he were blowing quite a bit. It's a tough ask as a lone striker, as we always say. So that's my team. That's who I'm going with. But listen, if you think differently, get it in the comments and let me know. I'm all ears. Corinthos Blade, Roy, is that you? Let me know, pal. If Vinny and Anel are still out, we should just go with the same 11. There we go. They just need to up the ante from the start, up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. So you go with Ryan O'Neill. That's interesting. That's interesting. And look, I'm a big fan of Ryan O'Neill, and I hope he does come good. There's certainly the ceiling that lad has got is very, very high. I just don't know if he's quite ready to be starting games at the top of the Championship at the moment. Ian says, evening, Jimmy. 3-0 Blades win. End of. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. I think, just so I don't forget my score prediction, because I do that sometimes, I think 2-0 Blades. I think we're good enough to go and beat Cardiff, go into Christmas top of the table. All we need technically is a point, but I think we'll go and we'll beat Cardiff. And then I think the games really ramp up in terms of difficulty. And this will be the test. The turn of the year here will tell us whether, I think if we come out at the turn of the year, and particularly if we're still top of the league, I think we get promoted automatically. I think if we're still in the top 2 spots, then we've done very well. Martin says, evening, Jimmy, not confident with this one. Should be on paper, but easy. Be easy, but just look at the Plymouth game. Hart says 2-0. Head says 1-1, says Martin. Oh, interesting. To be fair, Plymouth cut us open a few times, didn't they? And if we're that sloppy on the road, then we're not going to get 3 points. 3-0 Blades, says Dino. They've had a week to rest up, so let's have it, Blades. Yeah, I think a large part of that Plymouth performance was tired legs. So if we're giving them that caveat that they've had a long rest, and fingers crossed that's been the case, then yeah, 3-0 Blades. Let's hope you're right, pal. Good evening, Jimmy, says Nige. Any news on Sousa and Campbell? Could do with them back in my eyes. It's a big ask for more O'Neill and Davies at the minute with the amount of playing time they've had, going for a 2-0 Blades. Yeah, I know I've covered that now, Nige, but we've got to get by with what we've got, haven't we? Which shows that we need to do something in January, I think. Just a little bit of help. Just a little bit of help for the manager. Cardiff have a few players out, so it's a good time to play him at the minute. I'd forgot all about Chris Willock, though. I liked him at QPR, and he's not really pulled up any trees, I don't think, at Cardiff so far. But as Si was saying, he looked all right last time out. So maybe the change of system has helped. He seems to think they'll stick with that because of the way that they played. So it'll be interesting to see how things set up. 2-0, says Joe. Solid win needed ahead of a really tough festive fixture list. Absolutely right, pal. Don't forget to help Jimmy out with the channel, guys. Please like and subscribe. All Blades, aren't we? Thank you, Nige. Much appreciated, pal. Oh, my word. I've just seen what's coming. Good evening, Jimmy, says Scott. Any truth in Baki announcing the deal in Saudi today? Yesterday, $135 million deal completed, an announcement due shortly. Source has 1.6 billion followers. I've certainly seen it, Scott. Don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about it. As I've said earlier, I can confirm that Mr. Baki is certainly still linked to the club. I know we've worked with him for years. He was at Fenerbahce, wasn't he? And I think he's been doing some work at Beershot. I think he's quite close to the board. Whether he's actually officially a member of the board, I know there was some sort of people weren't sure at that stage. But I have no idea whether he's gone over to Saudi. I thought he'd gone over to Turkey. I don't know where he is, to be honest. So I don't know, mate, is the honest answer. But you usually think somebody with 1.6 million followers has a bit of credibility. I'd just be surprised if that leaked out before, we announced it on our home turf, if you like. So maybe it's just a case of announcement imminent, which wouldn't surprise me at all. Blade says surprised, thought Perry NG was a class player, as did I. I wouldn't say class, but I've always rated him. And he's obviously taken a dip because he's been a regular for them for years, hasn't he? So, yeah, I was surprised as well, Blades. 3-0 to the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe, says Jace. And this is what I saw. Unbelievable from Mr. Vancouver. Thank you so much, pal. $100 to the Ramble. Merry Christmas, Jimmy. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Merry Christmas to you, pal. And thank you so much for your generosity, first and foremost. But your support throughout the year, you and the Ramblers keep this channel going. Not just, the backing that you give us, but you are my sounding board for ideas and, things that the Ramble becomes is because I feel like we're a team. I feel like we all put in together and we create how this channel goes and which direction we take. So it's never lost on me how important you guys are. So thank you. I'm very touched by that. I'm very touched. Thank you, mate. Don't really know what to say, to be honest. Wow, Mr. Vancouver, what a brilliant gesture, says Nige. Absolutely. Merry Crimbo for Wednesday, Jimbo. Thank you, Footy Fanatic, and the same to you. As I said, I'm not doing my Christmas wishes directly yet because you haven't seen Last of Me yet. I'll still be on before Christmas. I'll be there for Battle Lines, mate. Good stuff. Good to know, Nige. If anybody's got any ideas on a show that we can do on the Ramble with Connor that you'd like to see, because we're going to alternate Battle Lines, but for whatever, we're not doing it. We're not doing that. So, but Connor has said, if you want to do a show over on the Ramble, he's happy to come and join us over here. So if there's but the rules are, it has to be worthwhile, because neither myself or Connor want to just come on for the sake of it. It has to be something that you're going to find interesting. And I never want to make content that's just for the sake of it. So that's the only thing, really. It's got to be worthwhile and a decent concept that people are going to be interested in. Evening, Jimmy, says Holly. Hope you're keeping well, but long time no see, mate. Since you were on Hot Topic last night with us, chatting all things takeover. I'm very well, mate. I hope you are too. I'll be honest, I'm nervous about the takeover, says Craig. I think you're right to be nervous. Excuse me. I think there's not nervous per se, but it's natural to be nervous. We don't know what we're walking into, do we? It's the unknown. It's like the old mystery box situation. We know that the Prince is leaving because he admittedly can't sustain a Premier League club with his current financial situation. But that doesn't mean the new owners coming in can either. They're just buying it, So, but the flip to that is it's a consortium of many wealthy people, from what I understand, or a few wealthy people coming together. So if they have the ability to push us on, you'd expect them to try and get us there and keep us there, wouldn't you, for the maximum return on investment? So it's just going to have to be a wait and see, isn't it? Footy Fanatics team is Cooper, Alfie, Suter, Robbo, McCallum instead of Burrows, Peck, Hamer in the middle, O'Hare on the left, Brewster in the 10, I assume, Brooks on the right, I assume, and more up top. Right, interesting. Again. When does the academy go Cat 1, Jim? About 18 months, I think. About 18 months. It's in line with the door training facility being completed. So that's my understanding. Hey, up, Rick. Why are you here and not Andy the Blade? We need scouting reports. I know he likes. I know. Sorry to let you down. He's still recovering. He went to Paul Eaton the other night and he's He's been badly. He had a good night. Adrian says, Jimmy, what are your confidence ratings for A, Saturday, B, the takeover, and C, the transfer window? See, we're over half an hour already, which is perfect course, isn't it, on here? Confidence ratings for Saturday, 7 out of 10. Takeover, 9 out of 10. Transfer window, 6.5 out of 10. Because I think we'll do as expected, and anything else in the window is a bonus for me. So do you think the delays in announcement, says David, one of our latest ramblers, thank you for the support, pal, in the announcement, maybe just as a ploy, as any talks for possible targets could be hit by increased valuations when clubs see that we are possibly getting to it? No, I don't think it's a ploy for clubs, for people outside the club. I think it's been a bit of a chess game between current board and ownership and the incoming, but it's nothing less than you'd expect with really big business. It's just, and that's just my opinion, to be fair. I forgot that One started. I agree, Marsh. I thought that's what you were going to say, to be honest, but I did as well, to be honest. I thought it was Brewster when I first did it. Matt Grimes, him and Sousa destroys. I love Matt Grimes. Ricky suggested that on Hot Topic when we asked for one name, and yeah, it's a name I like. I think we mentioned in pre-season as well. Would be reasonably cheap, I believe, from Swansea. But they're captain, isn't he? So it's a wilder signing, that. I would love to have the same lineup as you, Jimmy, says Ian, with the exception of the strike. I know what you're going for, the president of the Rian Brewster fan club. Evening, Jimmy, says Kieran, another new Rambler. Welcome to the team, pal. I'm saying a nice 2-0 to cement the Blades top for Christmas. Away at Villa last year gave us some Christmas magic. I see more ahead. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. I reckon Cardiff 0, Blades 1. Goal, Kiefer Moore. Assist, Hamer. Man of the match, Peck. Right, interesting. Yes, Roy, the Corinthians split. Thank you, pal. Thank you. Just so I'm useless remembering stuff, but I do try my best to keep up with everybody as best I can. David says, just want a performance for us. Away day, Blades. I'll be happy with a 1-0. Give us a happy trip back up the Blades. Yup, the Ramble. Thank you, David Winter, our German Blade. You're not German, are you? But safe trips, pal. Safe trips. It'll be a cold one, and brilliant. Part of that fantastic travelling support. 1-0 Blades. Early goal. They're not really push for more. Yeah. Sit back and try and defend the 1-0. Like and subscribe, or else Sheffield United will bottle promotion and go down to League One next season. Do it. I love your commitment, footy fanatic, but let's not be passive-aggressive with people that are trying to enjoy the stream. Danny says Blades want to sign Lennon Patterson from Wolves. 17-year-old left-back. Arsenal got him on trial at the moment, but Blades are favourites. Well, that's just what we need, isn't it, a left-back? I think we're struggling. I saw this. Bladesman posted it, didn't he? So, who is an aggregator, and I can't remember who I've been told off for this before, because I always credit the Bladesman and I don't credit the original news source. I can't remember where it came from originally, so it might be Evening Standard. But yeah, don't know anything about him. But if you're on trial at Arsenal, you must be half decent. So if we've got half a chance of pipping him, which the report said we did, then more power to us. I think the success, another thing that's gone under the radar in Prince Abdullah's reign, in my opinion, we don't buy the next best. We don't buy like the Louis Barry when they're on the cusp of becoming a superstar. We don't fork out a lot of money for those sort of players. What we do is we try and get them before they hit that status. So players like Ryan Oney, we paid a fee for from Scotland. He were playing first team football in Scotland. Brought him in. Siddy Peck, we paid Arsenal a fee for Siddy Peck to bring him into our youth academy. I think it was a compensation fee, but we scout them much younger than most, I would say, and that's a real big focus of our recruitment team, which I think is really, really smart, and it's worked well for us. Neil says, Jimmy, for me, it's same 11. And in January, the new owners, fingers crossed, need to set their stall out to outline their intentions for the club going forward. Up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, Neil. I think we were talking about it again last night on Hot Topic, where as part of the negotiating tactics, when the owners released, or the prospective new owners released their statement, I believe it was a political attempt to nudge the current ownership, and a bit cheeky, but they've set themselves up. They've set a standard now, because They said they can't wait to get the deal completed and make sure Chris Wilder is backed in the January transfer window. So if it's done now, then they've said publicly to the fan base that they're going to back the manager. Now that could mean, that's ambiguous, so it could mean several different things, but people will be expecting at least 2 very strong loans and probably a little bit more if you're going to back the manager. Chris says, evening, Jim. I'm going 1-2 Blades. If prospective new owners turn out to be very dodgy like the last 2, do we get any cover from the EFL regarding finance if they've said they're okay? No, I don't think we do. But I think that's probably why the due diligence has been so extensive. So once the deal's done, I believe it's done. And they've sort of done, EFL have done their deep dive into the checks. But I think they'll be hands off if it well, you see what's happened to like Bury and stuff like that, but that's absolutely worst case scenario. Evening, Jimbo, says Danny. Hopefully all this tech over malarkey is wrapped up this week. Be a great start to Christmas, and we hopefully will also help us to look forward to the January transfer window. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, up behind the Ramble. Love that, Danny. Like and subscribe and hit that like. Schrodinger's takeover at this point. Nice. If you're watching, Bobby, we're all with you. Well said, David. Thoughts to Bobby, Platinum Rambler, my mate Bobby, top lad, and we're all thinking about you, pal. We are all thinking about you, mate. I think Connor's right. What he said he said over the takeover, it could be a bank boosting situation, or it could be them trying to take us to the next level. Yes, it could. Could be anything, couldn't it? I think a January. I'm still behind on comments. Look how far we are over. Ridiculous. I think a January transfer target episode will be good for you and Connor, and to talk about how we need and what they need and what you reckon. Yeah, that's not a bad shout. I'm hoping for like a weekly series, but again, if it's not going to be worthwhile, then maybe one-off specials, maybe once a month like that, would be useful. So yeah, I'm happy to do that. What about a promotion roundtable with Leeds, Burnley, Sunderland, Borough, and Blackburn? I love the thought of a roundtable, like a promotion roundtable. The only problem is in the Championship, Blackburn were going great guns at the minute. Fast forward a month, they could be in 12th. It's that sort of situation, isn't it? But I think the other teams will definitely be in it. And Blackburn are doing really well at the moment too. So yeah, I think you have to be selective. I think Burnley will stay the course, so I could maybe get Turfcast on. I know Connor knows Vizzy quite well. We'll get some Sunderland representation maybe, and I think Borough will stick around because I'm always wary of Borough. Well done, Mr. V, says David. It's not letting me click it, but there you go. Well done, Mr. V, and thank you again, Mr. Vancouver. Very much appreciated. Bournemouth want Campbell. I'd take 10 to 15 million for a player being on the books for half a season. No brainer. Not going to happen, Danny. I'm not saying they're not interested or they don't like him. We signed him for note. Nobody's going to pay 10 million quid for it, and that's what we'd need, at least 10 million quid for him. Nobody's going to pay that, I don't think, for somebody we've just picked up for nothing. Yeah, it's a false rumour, says Nigel. I think they're interested. No, and do you know, the mum's gone out and they can't come in here because Santa's dropped a few presents off in here. So they've just opened the door now, trying to come in. So normally I'd be a lot cooler than that on stream, but I had to make sure they were gone. So apologies. Speaking on Bournemouth, what's the chances of getting Brooksy back? David Brooks, not likely. Isn't he playing in and around their first team? It might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I have a wrestling match with Connor. That would make a great show, says Jace. Okay, I'll take every idea on board. I'm not sure about that one, to be fair. Can't believe we're nearly halfway through the season already, says Matt. I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Hats off, Mr. Vancouver. Have a very Merry Christmas, says Danny. I think Danny's just about to do the same, actually, from what I understand, Mr. V. Has anyone thought about Mike Cooper getting interest from other clubs? No, hands off. 20 million quid starting bid and the rest. No, it's too early, I think. We'll have him for at least a couple of seasons, I think. Hamburger, the latest in for sausage roll, says Scott. Just been confirmed by Rob. Pigs in for a good Christmas. Yeah, I've seen that because Southampton are sort of casting their eye a bit further out there. I've seen Carlos Corberan linked today. But yeah, Hamburger SV for a sausage roll. Hamburger for sausage roll. Love that. Evening, Jimmy Lad, says Pixie. 1-0 to the Blades. More with the winner. Love that. Weren't we linked with Cole Palmer on loan before he went to Chelsea? People don't believe me when I tell them this. Absolutely we were. It was between Cole Palmer and James McAtee and getting one of those two in, and we wanted Cole Palmer. And Cole Palmer played in the Community Shield for Man City and had an absolute barnstormer of a game, and Chelsea stepped in and signed him. But he'd have come to Sheffield United that season. Talk about a sliding doors moment. you won't believe it now looking at what a player he is now. But yeah, he were nearly a Blade. Very nearly a Blade. Simon Gregory, Steve McDonald says, just figured out how to be added to the WhatsApp group. Now I can find out what you're all blabbering on about. 1-0 to the mighty Red and White Wizards, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Welcome, pal. You're more than welcome, and thank you for the support. Something testing each other's knowledge over Leeds and Blades, or just football in general with Connor. Okay. BBD on the bench tonight for Southampton, and your son starts. BBD just can't buy game time. It's interesting to see who's on bench, though. He hasn't been in squad, has he, recently? West Brom manager's going to Southampton, says Danny. Is that sure? Is that definite? If I were Southampton, I'd go for David Moyes, says Footy Fanatic. Connor looks like Simon Moore, says Matt, which at the minute is our last comment. And speaking of Connor, I'm over on his channel, One Leeds fan channel, in 20 minutes. So I'm going to go see what my girls want, since they know that the mother's out and they're probably wrecking the house as we speak. 2-0 Blades. 2-0 Blades at the weekend. I'm probably going to go to Andy Smith's house, and that's Andy the Blade and my father, and watch it on a legit stream. So we can all watch the game, and we'll come back here for 90 after 90. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thanks again for joining us. Thank you to Mr. Vancouver and to David for their generous donations. Very much appreciated. But for now, come on, you Red and White Wizards. Up the Blade!